All right, cool. Yeah, so I don't know, Swati, do you want to like kick off? I know we're a little bit late, but
Okay, Ven has had almost 15 years of career in tech. She's a seasoned career and leadership coach, also a best-selling author of Inspiring Women Professionals Who Boss Up. She also has a coaching transformative program called Breaking Barriers. So we are very much looking forward to the topic that we have chosen today, navigating changes at work. When so all it's all you know.
thank you, Swati, for the intro. So I feel really privileged to be able to be here with you, especially in the beginning of the year, to talk about this very timely topic, right? Navigating changes at work. It's been crazy year, I think, for many of us. And in the new year, changes are continue to happen. Like what do we do with it, right? So that's what I'm here to share. So I'm an engineering leader turned career leadership coach. First generation Taiwanese American. I have 15 years of experience. And I think what had me actually start to think about and share my experience also is that I've experienced many reorgs and layoffs, especially I work mostly for startups and mid-sized company. So I get it. I've been there. And I'm here not because I'm more, bless you. I'm here not because I'm more, experienced or I know exactly, what to do, but to offer you a different perspective to changes. And most importantly, what would you like to do with changes? And throughout the session, actually, this is a fairly short deck because I think like I love the session to be more interactive. And if you have like some real, live example, and you're like, oh my God, how do I deal with it? And I would love for you to bring it up and share with me. And so I will have basically short presentations in the beginning. Feel free to comment either in the chat or raise your hand if you have questions. And then in the end, we should also have time for Q&A. Okay. All right. So the only constant is change. I want you to think back to how many changes have you experienced in the past 6 months. And it doesn't have to be limited to work. And feel free to share it in the chat. I will be kind of like reading it too. So it can be, new job, new teams, new roles, new managers, right? New responsibilities, new family members, right? Some people can move to a new city. There are many changes that could happen in our life. And how many changes have you experienced in the last 6 months? Think about it. And I see nothing in the chat. So you can share or not, that's fine. Okay, lots in your case. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, move cities, move orgs, move projects, right? Any one of those can be, really big impact to what we're used to do. And we need to adapt. And overall, like we human experience like 36 major changes. And that was like when, the study was conducted, that was like long time ago. Now the pace of change has gone, I feel like gone crazy, right? We all are in the process of learning to adapt, right? So, and when changes occurred, it is completely normal for us to even like resist a bit. It's normal to react. and feel like sometimes we don't really have control. And that is okay, because what we've experienced, it's called being human. Because when we, thousands years ago, our ancestor, any change to us can seem dangerous. So that's why human instinct actually resists to change, because long time ago, whenever changes happen, it can be, life or death. So that's why as human, usually when changes happen, our first reaction is that, oh, like resist. And but like I said, we are not in the jungle anymore. Right now, we are in this like concrete, although sometimes work can still feel like jungle. But what's more important becomes how we view those change, like what's our relationships to those changes, right? So if you think about the changes that you just mentioned before, right? Like team change, project change, manager change, move cities, all those things, right? Like, what's your biggest worry around these changes? Just think about them. Especially like in your past experience, when changes happen, what might end up become a momentum for us to learn or to do something different? So I want to use my own personal experience. Actually, almost 3 years ago, I was laid off. And prior to that, like many reorgs and layoffs, but this time I was on the chopping board. And no one welcomed that change, right? I'm like, even if, I don't know, like it's the first time I was on the chopping board, and from where I come from, it's actually very, from my culture, like I tie so much of my own like worth to, my productivity, my title, how well I feel like I'm progressing in my own view and in other people's view. So this change almost seems like a slap on my face, and someone saying like, hey, when you're not enough for my org. I was devastated. But it turned out, now that I look back 3 years later, I'm like, oh my God, that change actually is the push that I needed to basically create my own coaching business full time. Before that, I was coaching part time, but I was so afraid of losing that stable income, so afraid of what does it even mean. Like, I don't know how to build a business. But that change ended up to be a really great momentum for me to innovate my own life. So I want you to think back to some of the changes that you mentioned, and even like in the past, what changes actually end up become an opportunity for you to, really like reinvent yourself to be better. I bet there are some of that for you. So change is constant, but we do need to kind of navigate through those changes. So I'm gonna share my process of doing that. The first thing is feel the emotions, and for me that is hard. I don't know, from my culture, we don't talk about emotions. And even in the US culture, I remember my first ever boss tell me, hey, don't let people see your emotion. Don't let them see that you have fears, right? Especially when things like reorgs, layoffs, we feel like, our world kind of like changing in a pretty big way. But oftentimes we don't let ourselves really feel that. And it's actually what we don't let ourselves feel kind of like stay in our body in a way, so it keep accumulated. I think that's actually a lot of time how stress kind of like just keep accumulated, and then we burn out basically. By letting ourselves to feel the emotions, it's actually the key for us to be more okay with, okay, like changes come and we feel anxious, we feel bad, we feel angry. And that's how we human respond to change naturally. And sometimes it's also how we bond with people. Like, for example, when in one round of layoffs, some of my team members got impacted. And as a manager, I don't want to show up as if like I don't care, right? That we're human. I do care. And so I gathered my team. I basically almost like more, the change with them together. And we share how we actually feel. And that actually become the key for the rest of the team to say, okay, now that we let it out, we let that pass, what do we do now, right? So even if you are too afraid to do it in like public setting, things like that, but I think like having some time and space, especially given really big change for yourself, it is really important. And the second thing is acceptance. Oftentimes, and here I'm talking about negative changes, right? And if I have time, I'll also talk about positive changes. When negative changes happen, it creates pain in our body, right? We're like, like I don't want to, like lose a boss that I really admire and get, rebuild the trust with a new manager, things like that. And oftentimes we compare of what we have before versus what's happening now. And when we fight with reality, we actually turn this pain into suffering. Because when we argue with reality, we lose 100% of the time. We cannot go back and change things. But we can move forward. But if we don't accept, then we are basically living in the past, right? And that's where the suffering comes from. So, and also acceptance is not doing nothing. I feel like when I first started thinking about this, like I also resist the turn of like accepting. It seems very passive, but it's actually not doing nothing. It's actually the beginning of doing something, because if you don't accept, you are in the past. You're trying to change things that you cannot change. Okay. So once we are able to say, okay, what happened, then the next step we can do is to be present. Because especially when negative change happened, anxiety, stress, we could lose sleep, things like that. We worry, like what might happen to us. Like, I don't know, our minds kind of make up stories. But we only feel anxious when we're in the future. If we're in the present moment, we actually don't feel that. And I have an example of one of my coaching clients in a coaching session. She was super anxious because she lost her job a few months ago due to layoff, and then spent a few more months looking for a new job. And when we at that coaching session, she was like second week into this new job, and she was like, "Oh my God, a small round of layoff just happened. And I'm new to this team. I don't know what to do. Like I'm so afraid the same thing will happen again." Like she has problem like on board herself into this org because her mind anchor on this, okay, oh my God, like it might happen again. So her mind is in the future on the things that might or might not happen. So that's why she's stressed, she's paralyzed, she couldn't stay focused. And what I told her is, whatever you're here to do, you joined this company for a reason. It excites you for a reason. What are you here to learn? What are you here to do? How you want to contribute? Make today count. Even by the end of today, you lose your job. what can you do to make today count, such that you'll be like, okay, you know, I did the best I can today, and that would be good enough. So stay present to where we are, keep us focused on what we can do. And with that, then, you know, we can then think about, okay, given the situation, what can I create from here? And this question really shift us the entire mindset to, okay, like, who do I want to be? What do I want to create? Such that I will have this work for me. So this is quite a lot. Any questions here? Like I said, like I know this looks oftentimes when I talk about things, they're like, oh, this all makes sense, right? But when it comes to like real world, real implementation, people usually have a lot of but. So I kind of want to hear maybe from you all if you have questions or comments about the 4 steps that I mentioned here. So if you want to share, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. Okay, no one. Does this make sense though? Or you're like, when you're too over your head?
It does,
It's
when,
not that
but
easy. Yeah.
sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that. I went to get my breakfast and I missed the question though. So
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't know like what to respond right now, but all of this
Mm-hmm.
really makes sense. And I think I was advised not to show my emotions, you know, by
Right.
my like some of the people I expressed it to, but I think
Yeah.
I did not hide it because I just wanted to
Mhm.
feel pain that I was feeling when layoffs happened, or
Right.
I went through like 2 sessions before this, but this was more personal because I lost a team member. So
Mm.
and I know like doing that, by doing so, I think I was ready with the next step, started
Right.
already planning for the business continuity, and
Mhm.
then started looking for job opportunities that I can refer to my ex-team member. So I
Mhm.
think there were some parts of creating the future which started much early on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. It's especially when negative things happen, I
Mhm.
really think that it challenges us in terms
It
of
does.
really, yeah, choosing what kind of people and what kind of leader we really want to be,
Mhm.
right? And any stand that you choose, you know, people respond. And that's been my experience. Yeah, so thank you for sharing yours.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else, especially like when you are thinking about the changes you are experiencing, like what might be the challenges that you face, kind of like bring you through those steps. Rachel?
Yeah, so I can share my experience. So I recently changed orgs, like there was a reorg in my company. And I am, like most of us, I'm very competitive by nature. Like I want success and I want it fast. I think that
Yeah.
I have that gratification problem. So to
Mhm.
me, for the longest time, I think I was very frustrated and angry that why did it happen to me? And what I realized is that it's even impacting my day-to-day work. Like I can't
Yeah.
focus on what is the right path I want to do, what are the right things I want to do. And being a
Mhm.
manager, I don't think you can ever let it affect you that way because the whole
Yep.
team looks up to you. So I
Mhm.
totally agree with this point here that the faster you let them out, the faster you are ready for because it's true. Like you can't undo the change. So I wish I had known that sooner. But yeah, will be very vulnerable sharing this here right now.
Yeah. The like thank you for sharing your experience. It's very valuable. I think like one thing is I always say we have ample opportunities to practice what we need to practice. So it's never too late, right? To learn whatever you're here to learn. I think that's the beautiful part of life. And I love that one thing you mentioned about, oh, you know, when we don't accept, right? When we don't let us feel the emotion, when we don't accept, it kind of keep us in a frame of mind, right? We think things will be different. And that's actually exactly what I want to bring up next. Because oftentimes, like I said, like now I bring this up, this step seems, you know, reasonable. But when we are in those moments of like changes hits, like, oh my God, what do we do? It's actually, I like to offer you all a distinction to help you make a choice at that moment. Okay, so and that distinction is called victim. Okay, sorry, one more before. Victim versus owner. So those are almost like the lenses that we wear, and we can choose like which one we want to wear when we have that awareness. And it's basically where we are coming from, right? So from a victim's mindset, victim's perspective, when we wear the victim's lens, the language we can hear through how we speak and our head, how we think about the situation, we will know that's why like right now I want to create that awareness with you. So when we are in the victim perspective, we think that things are happening to us, right? Life is difficult. Why this happen? I need to get through the situation, and I should. There's so many things I should. Like if you hear your language in terms of, oh, I should do this, I should do that, pause yourself and really examine it. Because should is a major energy killer. When you think I should or I have to, basically your mind, you're thinking I'm forced to, right? I'm forced to do this. I'm not doing this out of my own will. And that also means you're giving away a lot of power to those shoulds or, you know, like circumstances, things like that. Versus from an owner's perspective, basically we take ownership and we will think whatever happened, things are happening for me. What's the gift I can learn from this, right? What's the opportunities I can see here? And we can see life, or we can turn things into infinite amount of possibility. It's like, doesn't matter what happened, there is something here for me to learn. And the language we'll use is I want to, I choose to, I get to. So like, for example, like as a business owner, if I don't own my business, I can be a victim to the circumstances. I can say, hey, the economy is not good. No one has money to invest in themselves. You know, I should do more, but I'm not getting more money, right? That's the victim perspective. Versus if I choose to fully own my own business, I think about, oh my God, like, how can I create more impact from the current situation, right? Changes is everywhere. People are anxious. What can I create more impact, right? And also, like, you know, like I said today, I get to be here with you, share this time with you. What a privilege. I get to do this. I defined, right, what is it that I want to create from whatever situation that I'm in. So being a victim is not permanent. It's like a filter. It's like a lens that we wear. Once we have the awareness, we can choose if we want to, you know, take it off, put on a new one or not. It's all possible. And sometimes it works to be a victim. It has its own advantage. So like I said, when I got laid off for the first 3 months, oh my God, I have all the victim mindset. I'm like, I'm so angry, you know, I have so much like resentment, why me, you know, all that good stuff. But I need to be there because like I said, I need to go through this human emotion. But when I'm ready, I accept it, and then I'm be present, and I start to think about, okay, what is it that I can learn and create from here, right? So if I put that the victim and owner lens right onto this real life examples that we talk about, right? Layoffs, reorgs, and new managers, new teams are bad. We can easily just stay there and feel, I don't know, extensive like worries because we have no control. Or we can ask ourselves, what's the opportunity I can tap into here? Usually when reorg or new manager, whatever happens, there can be something that you might be able to find that excites you, that things that's not your responsibility before, and now you need to do two people's job, so you have more. You get to own more. And it's all up to what are we looking, right? And when the real life example can be, economy is bad, I don't have job security, oh my God, layoffs just happened, what if the next round will come up? Or when you will come up, right? So we live in this fear. Versus, okay, the economy is bad, I know, but how can I become so good that other people cannot ignore me, right? Just like probably everyone work at OpenAI. Right now, if they go out, they will be hired like instantly. How can I become that good? Right. So that completely shifts our focus, because what if I take full responsibility for my own career growth instead of leaning on the organization or whatever, you know, manager? We do need to work with them. We do need to ask them. We do need to, you know, be proactive, you know, creating those opportunities instead of just like waiting for things to happen. And that is a book, like, what's that? So Good They Cannot Ignore You. That's a book I would recommend if you want to read more about, oh, how do I actually do that? And the third one example I put in here is like, okay, I'm happy here. There are so many changes. I'm tired of, you know, keep adapting those changes, but I feel like I don't have much choice, right? Economy is not great. You know, like I can only be here. I actually hear that from many who experience like big changes at org. They are unhappy about the changes or the culture that has become, etc. But then they just complain and stop there. I think we might all know some of those people in at work or in our life. Versus when I take full responsibility for why I'm here, right? Why do I choose to be here still? We can all ask ourselves that question. Is it because there are still more opportunities I can have, you know, more experience I can create? Or even if it's just, okay, because the money is great, right? I need that to provide for my family. If that's your choice, then great, own it. Because when you realize I choose to be here, and it is your choice, and at any time you can make a different choice, then you shift yourself from the victim mindset to, okay, I know I made this conscious choice because I have my own purpose, right? And so it really changed the dynamic of how we like view a situation and what we do with it. Any questions here? Or any like examples that you see, you're like, okay, I know I stay a while here. How do I, you know, look at it from an owner's perspective? Because if you don't remember anything, this is the thing I want you to remember, the distinction of being a victim versus being an owner, because it is going to change your life. Anyone want to share comments or questions? or you can put it in the chat. I feel like sometimes speaking at work is actually a bit more it's a setting where it really require courage and vulnerability to share the real thing, and that's okay. Like I'm actually kind of like used to people not responding, although I would say but when I share what I want to share, I always go for, okay, what's the deepest root that might be here that's holding people back, right? And even if like people don't respond, I want you to know that if you can apply this really in all aspects of your life, you will feel immediately change in your life and in your career. Okay. So if no one respond, I guess you all know what does it mean to take full responsibility for your own career growth and for your own life. So many people actually don't understand what does it mean to take ownership of their own life. It is a choice. You know, how we show up, what's our approach, our mood whenever we are in a space with other people or even with ourselves. Like, what does taking ownership look like? Right? Are you willing to be a creator of your own future? And especially, are you willing to create a future that's not only driven by your past experience or trauma, but you can create from a completely clean slate? And who am I going to be? And how can I create a prosperous career, given all the changes that's throwing our way? And am I open to that possibility? Okay. So this is my last slide. What will you choose? So thank you. And yeah, I want to basically the last slide is how you connect with me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to my newsletter, or I actually have a workshop tomorrow, very early at your time. So if you register, this is the QR code, you can register. And I can send you the replay. So any questions or like live example, you're like, I bet, because in a way, I speak in a very high level general term, but at the same time also going to kind of like deep in almost like how we human looked at things and hoping to offer new perspective. But I bet there are many, I don't know, many situations or scenarios probably be like, but I don't think this works, or things like that. In that sense, I really want you to speak up, you know, challenge me, and let's talk about it. I think that's what makes it interesting. Okay, so let me stop sharing here and stop recording.